Hey there, it's Ben Gioia from influencewiththeheart.com, and I'm really excited to be here today because this is a very, very special day for a couple of reasons. One is because I get to talk to an amazing lady, Cristina DiGiacomo, who we will meet in a little while more fully. But hey, Cristina. This is Christina's first live interview in the public space with her new business, which is really exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about that. This is my first show, which I am calling, which I'm really excited about. Influence with the Heart presents interviews with kick-ass heart-based thought leaders, which is exactly why I have Cristina with us here today. So if we haven't met, my name is Ben Gioia. I'm a two-time best-selling author and speaker. I've positioned global thought leaders, shifted culture at a Fortune 100, created a mindfulness video game, and I help kick-ass heart-based women change the world. So again, I'd like to offer a super warm welcome, delighted warm welcome to my guest, Cristina DiGiacomo. Cristina, how are you today?
Hi, Ben. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's certainly an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I am going to talk a little bit about you and just read a little bit of your bio because I think it's super important for people to know who you are and what you're about and why it's so important.
Okay, I'll try not to blush.
No, no, blush away. Blush away. I'm a big blusher and it's totally fine. So, yeah, today's guest, my first guest, Cristina DiGiacomo, the MorAlchemist, guides leaders in creating and cultivating healthy morale for organizations so they're more engaged, innovative, and connected. At the New York Times, Cristina facilitated a one-team spirit which increased efficiency. And at AMC Networks, she invited collaboration that led to better morale and a successful launch. Cristina believes everyone deserves to be happy at work, and I believe that is absolutely the case, right? It's not just how do we be happy in life, how do we be happy in work, because this is how we be happy with everything, right? There's, especially in this day and age, there's no big distinction between the two.
Absolutely. And not only that, Ben, if I may add, my experience has been not only my professional experience, but also working with people. People still are mentally and emotionally compartmentalizing between what happens to them in their jobs and their personal life. So while the lines absolutely are blurring and there's this current narrative around work-life balance and certainly pursuing things that are meaningful and purposeful in your work, people are still underestimating the impact of the things that go on in their jobs to their health, their emotional state, their mental state, and also how that filters into their interactions with their families, their loved ones, their pets, the world at large, strangers, their communities. So I really believe that it is important, at least my domain is in the workplace, because it does take up a lot of brain space and life space for people. So I feel that it's important to do morale work and to do work in that domain as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. And I'm really excited about what you're going to be sharing with us, because I think it's something that's so universal, so natural, and yet so many people miss it because they're thinking of so many other things instead of getting to, the root causes and the things that cascade out and have all of these other kinds of impact in your business, in your organization, in your life, in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for doing that. And for those of you who don't know, Cristina and I met, 20 years ago in New York City, and have been friends ever since. And Cristina, I'd love you to just tell a little bit of kind of the story of back then, because I think I have the sneaking suspicion that you were the MorAlchemist before you even had the words MorAlchemist. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. Actually, when you and I met, I was DJing. Yep. So, I had taught myself how to DJ, and at the time, in 2001, 2002, I was actively, playing out in venues in New York City. And I had this experience where I was behind the decks and I'm facing hundreds of people. And it dawned on me that my purpose for being in that booth was not just about music or technique or gear or me being a DJ. It was my role in that whole dynamic was to help people get through whatever it was they were going through.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that my mission as a DJ was if I could help someone get through the fact that they got fired or the fact that they got dumped or that things were not, they were having a really hard time, that was actually my purpose. So I realized that I was actually a dance floor morale booster.
Right.
That was the whole role of me being a DJ. And I really connected to that mission. And it was really what kind of drove my passion for DJing for several years. And it was something that I found really fulfilling, was that aspect of I don't know, that whole idea of last night a DJ saved my life.
Absolutely.
There's a reason for that. And I really connected to that purpose. And I think that that's something that I've always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm no longer playing out, I have definitely carried that in other aspects of my life and in my career.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all that.
Sure.
Yeah. And I can attest to that because I've heard you behind the decks. I wasn't among that group of hundreds of people, but I was in a small studio space with you and a bunch of people like really going for it and tearing it up on the floor. So you did indeed embody that mission. And here you are 20 years later embodying it again. And the beautiful thing where I'm going to, feel a little bit proud over here is, we had the opportunity to work together because you joined my group coaching program a couple months ago and just completed it. So I'd love to know, how'd you like working with me?
I loved it. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I struggle with the words to describe or explain how wonderful the process was because, I just immediately trusted you. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to work with you, because I knew just you would have my back, but you would also challenge me, and that you were so keen on making sure that whatever it is that I did was the best reflection of who I was as a person, who I wanted to be, the work I wanted to do. And I really felt that kind of support from you. And the process itself was, there was two aspects of it. It wasn't just you helping me take this kernel of an idea, which that's all it was I wanted to be a professional morale booster. And then it was like, I don't know what to do with this. And I'm overwhelmed by this. And through the process of working with you, you helped me clarify and articulate and explain and position it and continuously work on it so that it became really authentic and identified and aligned with who I was. So there was that aspect of it, but then there was this whole other aspect of it where I felt through our work together, I gained confidence in becoming this new thing, which was really the thing that I always was, but it was just uncovering all of that and bringing to market this idea and this new phase in my life as an entrepreneur, which I had never gone through that process. I had never been an entrepreneur before. And so there was this external work of like bringing a solid message and putting a solid message out there. But then there was also this wonderful internal work that was related to me building my confidence and feeling good about this decision that I made and feeling that I can really, really do this. So there
That's
were these
awesome.
really two meaty aspects of the outcome of working with you, and the whole experience. Even though there were moments where I was was struggling to find the words of things, you were just there the whole time, supporting me and telling me that all of this was in the mix. That's like I love that. That's like, it's all in the mix.
It is all
That's
in
a
the mix.
Ben Gioia-ism right there. And that was just so supportive. It made me feel really secure. And so I'm so grateful for that.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. It sounds like a real experience of, as some people would describe, the self meeting the self, right?
Hmm.
People would ask Michelangelo, how do you know what you're sculpting? And he says, I don't know. I just chip away what doesn't need to be there to allow what needs to be there to come through. So, truly an honor and a pleasure for me, to be in that role, because, I feel like I did, 20% of the stuff, and you were, in the 80 to 90 to 100% zone on top of that. So really, really amazing. And I'd love also for you to share, how quickly you went from this idea to market with it.
So when you're in it, it feels like you just want to get there, and it feels, but I have to say, in the grand scheme of things, I look back and we worked together for what, maybe 2 months, 2.5 months.
About there,
And
yeah.
to be able to go from an idea to a full-fledged business that I can, and I am going out there, and we can talk about how things have been going since, but in a span of 2.5 months is kind of mind blowing. I mean, I had a friend, I was telling them, I was like, oh, I've been sort of thinking about this thing. It feels like it's been like months. And they were like, are you crazy? You've gone from zero to like launch in a very, very short period of time. And not many people, A, ever take that step, B, ever go through the process, or C, ever get there and ever launch. So, it was in the grand scheme of things, it was relatively quick. I just, for me, felt like, wow, I didn't realize how quick it was. I didn't appreciate how quick it was, certainly while I was doing the work, because I was focused on it completely 100%.
Sure, because we're working hard. It is not a walk through the park that I take you.
Well, Ben, you said it. I didn't say it. You said that.
Right, but it
So,
and,
but
and it and it
it was worth
works.
every moment.
Yeah.
Every moment was worth it, because that's where the good stuff comes up, right?
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be what I am or be able to do what I do if I haven't gone through my own stuff, if I haven't gone through what are my barriers, what are my frictions, what are the things that I'm bumping up against. So how can I help other people if I haven't been able to really help myself and discover what was really going on underneath the surface? So even though it was really hard work, it was really important work.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that. Wow. Gosh, this
Are you
is.
blushing now?
Yeah, absolutely. I blush like I breathe. um, cool. So I appreciate you sharing all that, and helping people understand, how we work together, and understand, uh, how I help people, and how you took that and made it your own. So well done, and thank you for doing that. Um, I would love to know. We would all love to know that stuff you wanted to share about morale and why it's so important, and awareness, and some tips. So please enlighten, educate, and inspire us with what you're going to share.
So what I do have to say, um, since I've launched my business, I've gone out there and I've met a lot of people. And the second that I tell them all I really say is that I'm a professional morale booster, or I do morale work, and immediately the reaction is, oh, I need you at my job. Or someone expresses or shares kind of a horror story with me. And the reason why I bring that up is because morale, everyone knows when morale is low. When morale is low, everyone knows. It's not that complicated to identify when things aren't going well. And morale is, it sits on an energetic level, and it's expressed emotionally. So you can see the sort of impact or the symptoms of low morale. It could be something overt. It could be complaining, gossiping, a malaise, a general vibe. It could also be covert. It could be hiding. All of a sudden people get really insular, or territorial. Like, we all know these things. This should not be a newsflash. The challenge with morale work, whether you're an HR person or you're a manager, or even if you're a team lead, or even if you're an employee, because I believe everyone has a stake in morale, the challenge is not just to be aware of it, but to acknowledge it. And, and I think that people really struggle with that because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do when things aren't feeling that great. They just know it doesn't feel that great.
Yeah.
So
what do you advise?
Yeah. So here's really, without getting too tactical, I think broadly what's important, the first thing you need to do if you want to address morale in your organization is, first of all, be aware of it. Be aware that it's there. Even when it's good, it's there. When it's bad, it's there. It's the other person in the room. In addition, you need to address your own morale. So you can't create change or address morale if you haven't really looked at where you are in the spectrum with how you're feeling about yourself in your organization. The second thing that you need to do is you need to acknowledge or be honest about what's going on and actually begin the process of vocalizing it. And I know that takes a lot of bravery, but these things can't change. Things can't get better unless people are talking about it. And even if it's a simple conversation with your boss, or if you're a boss with your employees, and just be honest and say, hey, things haven't been feeling really right here, or we've experienced something, and I want us to talk about it, and actually have listening sessions and be open to what comes out. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Absolutely. So that's the second thing. Yeah. And then the third thing is patience. So be aware of it, acknowledge it, bring it out into the open, and then be patient. You have to be patient with yourself and with others. Change doesn't happen overnight, and morale boosting and morale work is actually a process. It has to be something that's sustainable, enduring, scalable. It's not about a one-off tactic to, take people out to dinner. That doesn't always address morale. Morale, it happens on day-to-day interactions and in the context of where people are. So you have to meet people where they are. And you have to address the friction and the tensions and the anxieties and the fears that are happening with people in their moments, in their roles, and in their responsibilities. Awesome. So the other thing that I just want to say, sorry, Ben, you got me started.
That's what happens.
You got me started. There's just a couple of other things. The thing is, a lot of people think that morale work should only happen when things are bad. Mm-hmm. I would suggest that even when you think things are good, if things are feeling good, everyone's in a groove, everyone's feeling really good, do not take your eye off that ball, because morale is a fluid, organic, constantly moving, constantly flowing thing. And so you have to actually make it a priority in your organization. You have to actually consider it constantly and be vigilant, because it can also be fragile. One thing, one setback, one disgruntled person, something something can happen that can really kind of throw things off balance. So it's always really good to be proactive about addressing morale, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Beautiful, beautiful. I agree with you 100%. And from our work together, I understand more deeply a lot about this. So, first of all, thank you for sharing it. Secondly, thank you for doing that. Yeah, this is important work, and you are the champion for this stuff in a big way. So, Cristina, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about who you are, what you're up to?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn at Cristina DiGiacomo. Just remember, my first name, Cristina, has no H in it. I also have a website, CristinaD.com. So CRISTINAD.com.
Beautiful.
And, I love to hear from people. So if you just want to shoot me an email, please do so. My email address is Cristina@CristinaD.com.
Okay, I think we can all remember that one. No H, everybody.
No H.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Cristina, I want to thank you so much for being here. And I just want to wrap up the show with something that I'm doing specifically for people like you. And when I say people like you, I mean kick-ass heart-based women who want to change the world. And I think you actually experienced this about 3 or 4 months ago for yourself. And it's a live training that I do, a live webinar that I do, called How I Increased, or How I 7x'd my income in 11 months without giving up my authenticity, integrity, or soul, and positioned myself as a unique thought leader. And this webinar is geared toward kick-ass heart-based women who want to change the world. You can check it out at influencewithaheart.com/webinar. It's November 8th at 10 a.m. And there will be a replay available. So I invite you to check that one out. And I want to thank you very, very much for being here, spending some time with myself, spending some time with Cristina, and giving us an opportunity to serve you in the ways that we can serve both immediately through this conversation and by taking our gifts out into the world. So reach out to Cristina, reach out to me, come hang out on my webinar, influencewithaheart.com/webinar, for a lot of amazing stuff.
Yeah,
And
I just have to say,
thank you.
You have to just honestly join the webinar, check Ben out, be activated, be open. This whole experience I literally changed my life. And so I highly recommend just checking out the webinar and getting to know Ben a little bit better. He's fabulous.
Thank you so much, Cristina. I appreciate that a lot. And I'm gonna end it right there. So it's awesome. So Cristina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. And there's more to come from Cristina, more to come from Ben, and I'm sure more to come from you. So go out and do the things that you love and go help a bunch of people while you're doing it. Take good care. Bye.